Good evening. I'm Mildred Cash, and my persuasive speech is going to be on voting. At some point in time, every group of people have been excluded from having the right to vote. Not having the right to vote takes away your voice in society. How would you feel if we no longer had the right to vote and the power over your day to day decisions were completely taken away? I was a child in the 1960s, and even though I didn't actually take part in civil rights, I saw people around me having to jump through sometimes impossible hoops just to vote. People of color were beaten and even worse for simply wanting to have the right to vote. Like everyone else, fast forward to 2025, and there are still things being put in place to deter certain groups of people from voting. Our government affects every person living under the nation, and sometimes those things elsewhere, those living elsewhere. Whether you meet the voting requirement or not, it is your responsibility to vote or encourage someone else to so we can ensure work toward a true democracy for the present and future generation to come. I would start by talking about the problems that form from not voting and highlight these by speaking on the history of voting restrictions. I would then talk about what has led to a decrease in voter turnout. To begin with, let's start by looking at the past and present to highlight the problems that arise and may arise from not voting or not being able to vote. We can look back to when colonies were looking to be independent from Great Britain due to their government having too much power and there being less freedom for the citizen, to women being excluded from voting until 1920, blacks being excluded from voting to present day, where people actually had the freedom to vote but chose not to exercise it. Governments have been known to stifle the freedoms of their citizens. Voting gives you a voice and power over what your government can and cannot do. It allows you to have a say in the health of your communities, schools, jobs, infrastructure, etc. If voting wasn't important, it wouldn't be denied and restricted time and time again throughout history. Today, most people have the right to vote on paper, but sometimes rollbacks are put in place to deter people from voting. Other times, people just give up and don't vote because they feel their vote don't count or their vote won't be don't matter. What has been and what can be affected by not voting, being restricted from voting? Most people tend to focus on the presidential election. However, the importance of voting really starts at the local and state level. Our local state representatives are supposed to be there to make sure our community needs are being met. We have all experienced terrible roadways that have gone too long without repairs, school systems where the curriculum is unsatisfactory, or seeing live in areas where children have very few to positive extracurriculum activities or programs. However, these elections have the least turnout because a lot of people, like I say, a lot of people they just focus on the president election, but it's good to just go to your local when local elections are out there. We need to do that because it impacts our community, and a lot of us just go or not go to vote for president, but we got to do the local voting also. If we continue to not exercise our voting rights or continue to not fight against oppression, this can eventually lead to history repeating itself where those privileges will be stripped away. Okay, how do we bring about change? We have to encourage one another to take activities and stop in selling for the whatever happens mindset and realize that the government works for the people. We also have to do our research instead of assuming that voting is useless. All we have to do is look around in districts where voting is not high. There you will typically find lack in many important areas. That being said, those who do not vote and are knowledgeable, those who vote and are knowledgeable have to get out and educate others. Take the elders to the polls, etc. We have to make a point of getting to know our candidates. Look at what they've done in the past and what they plan to do if elected. So in this case, whether that person is in your party or not, you have to do your research and you got to do it diligent so you'll know if that person is telling you the truth about what they're going to do in your communities or in the country before you vote for them, because once they get in office, it's almost nothing you can do. Based on everything that was presented in this speech, I hope you will be inclined to vote in the future and encourage others to do the same. At the very least, I hope this speech made you think. We need to think, and we need to realize people gave their life for us to vote, and we got to stop being so complacent and just saying that my vote don't count or I'm too tired to get out and vote. Get out and vote, and it'll make a difference. Even though some don't realize it, voting is part of the answer to change. We just have to exercise it. In conclusion, if you've been on the fence about voting, haven't considered doing so at all, I challenge you to research our history and what many groups of people went through, fighting for their privilege, fighting for this privilege. I challenge you to seek out instances where voting made a change in your communities. If you can't find any, how can you be part of that change? My references were found at Voting Rights, A Short History from Carnegie.org, Landmark Legislation, the 14th Amendment from Archives.org, the 19th Amendment and Explorer from Archives.gov, the Declaration of Independence from Archive.gov, Voice of Business blog from Archives.gov, and if you care about social impact, why is voting important from Archives.gov. I've enjoyed this class. I think we have one more speech assignment, but it really gave me a chance to come out of my shell. So I thank my professor for giving us these important things to talk about, because at one time I couldn't speak to an audience, even though I know it's not live, but someone is going to watch it. So thank you a lot.